Hello and welcome to Boring History, the podcast that is hopefully so very boring, it will help you drift off into a deep and peaceful sleep. Tonight, we will be discussing the rather sprawling and intricate topic of Greek mythology. So please, close your eyes, get comfortable, and try not to think too much as we begin our journey into the distant past. In the beginning, before the gods and mortals, there was chaos. Chaos was not a state of disorder as we might think of it today, but rather a yawning, formless void. From this primordial emptiness, several entities emerged. First came Gaia, the earth, the broad-chested foundation of all things. Then came Tartarus, the deep abyss located far beneath Gaia, a place of gloom and punishment. And finally, Eros, the principle of love and desire, whose presence would be necessary for future creation. From chaos also came Erebus, the darkness of the underworld, and Nyx, the night. These two, Erebus and Nyx, would later couple to produce Ether, the bright upper air, and Hemera, the day. Gaia, on her own, brought forth Uranus, the starry sky, to cover her. She also produced the Area, the mountains, and Pontus, the barren, swelling sea. Gaia and her son, Uranus, would become the first divine couple, and their union would set the stage for the first generation of gods. The children of Gaia and Uranus were numerous and formidable. First were the 12 Titans, 6 male and 6 female. The males were Oceanus, Cyrus, Crius, Hyperion, Iapetus, and the youngest and most ambitious, Cronus. The females, known as the Titanides, were Thea, Rhea, Themis, Mnemosyne, Phoebe, and Tethys. Uranus, however, was a cruel father. He despised his other children, the Cyclopes one-eyed giants named Brontes, Sterops, and Arges, and the Hecatonchires, who were beings with 50 heads and 100 hands each. Fearing their power, Uranus imprisoned them deep within Gaia, in the pit of Tartarus. This caused Gaia immense pain, both physical and emotional. Grieving for her trapped children, she devised a plan for vengeance against her husband. She fashioned a great sickle from adamant, a type of hard flint, and gathered her Titan children, pleading with them to punish their father. All of them were afraid, except for Cronus. He took the sickle from his mother and agreed to her plan. That night, as Uranus descended to embrace Gaia, Cronus lay in ambush. He seized his father and, with the great sickle, castrated him. The blood that fell from the wound onto the earth, Gaia, gave birth to the Erinyes, or the Furies, who were spirits of punishment, as well as the Gigantes or giants, and the Malaya, the ash tree nymphs. The severed genitals were thrown into the sea, and from the sea foam that churned around them, Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty, was born. With Uranus overthrown, Cronus became the new ruler of the cosmos. He and his sister, Rhea, took the throne, and the other Titans became their court. However, Cronus proved to be no better a ruler than his father. He refused to release the Cyclopes and the Hecatonchires from Tartarus, and he lived in constant fear of a prophecy that he too would be overthrown by one of his own children. To prevent this prophecy from coming to pass, Cronus devised a terrible solution. Each time his wife Rhea gave birth to a child, he would swallow the infant whole. He did this with their first 5 children, Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon. Rhea was heartbroken and desperate. When she was pregnant with her 6th child, she sought advice from her parents, Gaia and Uranus. They helped her formulate a plan to save the infant. Rhea traveled to the island of Crete and gave birth to her son Zeus in a deep cave on Mount Ida. She then returned to Cronus and presented him not with the baby, but with a large stone wrapped in swaddling clothes. Unsuspecting, Cronus swallowed the stone, believing it to be his newborn son. Meanwhile, the infant Zeus was raised in secret on Crete. He was cared for by nymphs and protected by the Curetes, armed male dancers who would clash their spears and shields to drown out the sound of the baby's cries, ensuring Cronus would not hear him. Once Zeus reached adulthood, he was ready to challenge his father. With the help of Gaia, he tricked Cronus into disgorging his siblings. The method varies in different accounts. In one version, the Titaness Metis, goddess of wisdom, gives Cronus an emetic potion that causes him to vomit up his children, who emerge fully grown. First, he regurgitated the stone, which was later set up at Delphi as a sacred object. Then came Poseidon, Hades, Hera, Demeter, and Hestia. United, Zeus and his siblings declared war on Cronus and the other Titans who remained loyal to him. This great conflict, known as the Tatenamachi, lasted for 10 long years. The younger gods, who would come to be known as the Olympians, fought from their stronghold on Mount Olympus, while the Titans fought from Mount Othrys. The war was a stalemate for a long time. Seeing that he needed more powerful allies, Zeus, again on the advice of Gaia, descended into Tartarus and freed the Cyclopes and the Hecatonchires. Grateful for their liberation, they pledged their allegiance to Zeus. The Cyclopes, who were master craftsmen, forged powerful weapons for the Olympian gods. They gave Zeus his thunderbolts, Poseidon his trident, and Hades a helmet of invisibility. The Hecatonchires joined the battle with their immense strength, hurling massive boulders at the Titans. With these new weapons and allies, the tide of the war turned. The Olympians finally defeated the Titans. Cronus and his followers were cast down into Tartarus and imprisoned, guarded for eternity by the Hecatonchires. The Titan Atlas, a leader in the war against Zeus, was given a special punishment. He was condemned to hold up the sky on his shoulders for all time. With the Titans defeated, the universe needed to be divided among the three victorious brothers. They drew lots to determine their domains. Zeus, by chance, drew the heavens and became the king of the gods and ruler of the sky and thunder. Poseidon drew the sea, becoming the lord of the waters, earthquakes, and horses. Hades drew the underworld, the realm of the dead, a gloomy and subterranean kingdom. The earth, Gaia, was left common to all of them. The 12 Olympians established their home on Mount Olympus, the highest mountain in Greece. The canonical 12 typically included Zeus, Hera, his sister and wife, queen of the gods, Poseidon, Demeter, Athena, goddess of wisdom and war, born from Zeus's head, Apollo, god of music, arts, and prophecy, Artemis, goddess of the hunt and the moon, Ares, god of war, Aphrodite, Hephaestus, god of fire and metalworking, Hermes, the messenger god, and either Hestia, goddess of the hearth, or Dionysus, god of wine and revelry. The reign of the Olympians was not without its own challenges. Soon after their victory, they were faced with a new threat from the Gigantes, the giants born from the blood of Uranus. Urged on by their mother, Gaia, who was angry about the imprisonment of the Titans, the giants launched an assault on Mount Olympus in a war known as the Giganomachi. These were fearsome beings, massive in size, with serpents for legs. A prophecy had foretold that the gods could not defeat the giants without the help of a mortal hero. Athena sought out Hercules, the son of Zeus and a mortal woman, and brought him to fight alongside the gods. The battle was fierce, with each god facing a specific giant. Hercules proved crucial, delivering the final mortal blow to many of the giants after they had been wounded by the gods. Ultimately, the Olympians were victorious, and their rule over the cosmos was secured. The relationship between the gods and humanity was complex, and often fraught with peril for the mortals. The creation of humans is described in several myths. In one of the most prominent, the Titan Prometheus and his brother Epimetheus were tasked with creating living creatures to populate the earth. Epimetheus, whose name means afterthought, gave all the best qualities, fur, claws, wings, and strength, to the animals, leaving nothing for humanity. Prometheus, whose name means forethought, felt pity for the naked and helpless humans. He fashioned them to stand upright like the gods, and then, in a famous act of defiance against Zeus, he stole fire from the heavens and gave it to mankind. This gift of fire enabled civilization, allowing humans to forge tools, cook food, and build homes. Zeus was enraged by this act. As punishment, he had Prometheus chained to a rock in the Caucasus Mountains, where an eagle would come each day to eat his liver, which would then regenerate overnight, prolonging his torment for eternity. Zeus's punishment was not limited to Prometheus. To punish humanity for accepting the gift of fire, he ordered Hephaestus to create the first woman, Pandora. She was fashioned from earth and water and endowed with gifts from all the gods' beauty from Aphrodite, persuasive speech from Hermes, and so on. Zeus presented her to Epimetheus, who, despite his brother's warnings never to accept a gift from Zeus, was captivated by her beauty and took her as his wife. Pandora was given a jar often referred to as a box and was told never to open it. However, overcome by curiosity, she lifted the lid. From the jar flew all the evils of the world: sickness, sorrow, poverty, crime, and death. They spread across the earth, plaguing mankind forever. Only one thing remained at the bottom of the jar when Pandora finally managed to close it: Elpis, the spirit of hope. And so, while humanity was beset by countless troubles, they were also left with hope to sustain them. The myths of ancient Greece are a vast and interconnected web of stories, encompassing tales of heroic quests, divine disputes, and tragic fates. They are not a single, coherent religion, but a collection of local beliefs and traditions that evolved over many centuries. They explore timeless themes of power, love, betrayal, and the human condition. From the labors of Hercules to the voyage of the Argonauts, from the Trojan War to the wanderings of Odysseus, these narratives form the bedrock of Greek culture. They were passed down orally for generations before being recorded by poets like Homer and Hesiod, and later by playwrights and philosophers. These tales sought to explain the world, from the rising of the sun to the changing of the seasons, attributing natural phenomena to the actions and moods of the gods. And though they are tales of a civilization long past, their influence can still be seen today in our art, literature, and language. And with that, our somewhat cursory overview of the very long and complicated history of Greek mythology comes to a close. We have moved from the formless void of chaos, through the rise and fall of the Titans, to the establishment of the Olympian gods. Hopefully, the sheer volume of names and events has been sufficiently monotonous to help you along on your journey to a deep and restful sleep. Thank you for listening to Boring History. We wish you a good night.